Hello, and welcome back to Real Talk. What is this? Episode 18?
Yep, episode 18.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. Super prepared for that intro. Um, and we're talking wellness, as we love to do here. And Jesse and I have some wellness snacks that we have prepared and procured for today. Disclaimer, Jesse and I are not registered dietitians or authorized in any way to give, nutrition advice, but we are just talking to us about what wellness and health means with what we're putting into our bodies, what we're eating, what we're snacking on, and just different goals that we're trying to achieve with our snacks. I was just showing Jesse mine. It doesn't look cute on camera. It looks like vomit, but I'll hold it up anyway. Oh, look, now it won't show. The people don't need it. But that is avocado toast on sourdough bread with some salmon on top. Jesse, what you got?
Okay, I got these little Kaya bars. They're Greek yogurt. This one is flavored strawberry. This one is flavored salted caramel. And it's just a dark, it's like a, well, I could just open one and show y'all what it looks like. But it looks like this. And on the inside of it is Greek yogurt, like a cheesecake type texture. It's really good. And then I also got these. They're true fruit. They're peanut butter bananas covered in a thin layer of dark chocolate, and they're really good. So those are the ones I chose.
Jesse was smart and actually ate before the podcast. I did not. I'm eating my snack while we're podcasting because wellness. I'm hungry.
Yeah, there's
So,
no there's no issue with you eating. It's all good.
okay, if I'm ever like chewing too loud, just tell me. My husband is like really sensitive to chew noises, so now I'm like
Mhm.
really self-conscious that I chew too loud. Um, so Jesse and I, we've been spitballing with this project for a long project idea, whatever, for the podcast for a while, and we kept having to put it off here and there. Um, Mostly because it probably involved us having to have it together and have snacks ready. But but
Yeah.
we're really glad to talk about that. We were chit-chatting about what we chose and why before we started recording, and just how wellness and food has so many different aspects for our self-care and our just body wellness and our brain body connection and all of that. So, I guess we'll talk about these specific snacks that we chose for today and why we chose them, kind of what our goal was with that, and then we'll just talk food. Who doesn't love food?
Right. Who
I
doesn't
guess.
love food?
um But I chose with my salmon avocado toast on sourdough. So I had some blood work done and my cortisol level was really high. And that's our stress hormone, and I am a stressed and anxious person. So I was not shocked by this, but sometimes, I said this the other day on the phone with my mom, where I was like, I'm like stressing myself out trying to become unstressed. And I never thought until we came up with this idea about just kind of looking up like what food can help with your cortisol levels. So looking at that was really interesting. And so I was looking at like sourdough bread specifically because I kept hearing on like YouTube and other podcasts how good it is for you. And it was interesting in reading about its effect on cortisol directly because the way that it, like the nutrients that are in sourdough and its fermentation, actually can decrease inflammation, and that inflammation in our body can actually like stimulate our cortisol release because it sends stress signals when we're having it. So kind of your gut health with the probiotics and whatnot in sourdough can help with that, which was really interesting. um and then looking at salmon specifically, I was looking at omega-3 fatty acids, and that those also can reduce inflammation and have a link to lowering cortisol levels, reducing our body's stress response, and can actually promote a sense of calm, which would again regulate your cortisol levels. And then with avocado, it can help lower cortisol because of its, now this is all Googled information, because of its high magnesium content. And magnesium actually plays a role in our cortisol response. So the same with also, so there's some olive oil on my toast because I'm being fancy, and the same with the anti-inflammatory properties. So really seeing how much inflammation and anti-inflammatory nutrients are so directly related to our cortisol levels was really interesting for me because I never would have connected the two.
Right. Yeah.
So that's my goal with my is let's look at some ways to tackle some cortisol because I'm like, I just can't fit in any more self-care activities without stressing myself out. But I gotta eat. So let me see if I can tackle some things that way.
Yeah. And that's really interesting to know, about how the food works with our cortisone levels and what helps, make it better and reduce, the amount that we have in our body. So that's really neat.
Let's hope it works.
Yeah.
This is my first time with this snack, and if I like it, I'll put it in the rotation. So what about your snacks, Jesse? What were you looking at?
So my main goal with the as far as the snacks goes was just trying to, lower my sugar intake. Um My blood sugar is always usually pretty good, but I know sometimes I can overdo it on sugary snacks. And I have a lot of friends and stuff, and we were talking about, you buy the, sugar-free things, and they don't really taste good. There's, kind of taste bland or like cardboard, and just it's not good. And so, I was researching, different products and like Greek yogurt is such a big impact on mental health. If you Google, it will tell you like it's a good source of protein. It helps stabilizes blood sugar. It regulates mood-related neurotransmitters and also contains probiotics. That's also good for gut and brain health. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then it also says it potentially can reduce anxiety and depression symptoms. Well, I am diagnosed with anxiety. So I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense, so let's, try some Greek yogurt. So, at first I just got, I buy the I think it's called Rational brand, and it's like a big tub of Greek yogurt. And I started cutting up fruit, and then I was like, well, this is really good. I was like, but what if I'm like on the go and just want something quick, So I found I researched these Greek yogurt bars, and when I found them, I was like, I don't know how that's gonna be. That could be weird, because Greek yogurt, is kind of like an acquired taste. So I tasted them. They also have one that's a French vanilla that tastes amazing. And, I've noticed like when I'm craving something sweet, and I eat one of the bars, like I'm good. Like I don't crave anything and I'm not like it's almost like it like turns it off your brain. Not saying that it will do that for everybody, but I feel like you get that, sense of okay, I did eat something sweet, I'm good. And then with this is also like you could eat it for breakfast. I mean, I struggle with finding healthy breakfast sometimes, or sometimes I don't want to eat a lot of things or like so much. And this is just literally one frozen banana that was like wrapped in peanut butter because I watched how it's made video, and then they drizzle the chocolate and they put it through this thing and it cuts it. And I think each bag contains like 4 bananas, and you can just like I recommend like just pull when you pull it out and you want to eat it, like pull two out maybe 10 minutes before you want to eat it because it is free. You put it in the freezer, but it's kind of the banana part of it's kind of icy if you don't pull it out about 5 to 10 minutes before you want to eat it. And if you like it like that, that's awesome. I do not like it like that. I feel like it tastes weird. But it's very creamy. Like the peanut butter has a natural creamy taste. The banana tastes fresh. The chocolate, of course, chocolate's good for you in moderation, but especially dark chocolate is good for the heart. And so I was like, well, there you go. There's a healthier version than eating 6 or 7 Reese cups. Not that I'm going to give up my Reese cups, but I'm just it's good to find healthier options that don't taste like cardboard that makes you feel like okay this is satisfying versus you eat something that tastes like cardboard and you're just kind of like oh, okay well that sucks. I don't really
Yeah.
want to do that. So I've just been trying to find healthier options. Plus, I have few people in my family that's got a little bit of high blood pressure, high, blood sugar. And surprisingly, some of these snacks, if you research them, and it also helps your blood pressure, which I never connected blood pressure with food before. I knew like when you ate spicy food, like I know your blood pressure can get a little high, but I never connected anything else with blood pressure. I always looked at like things with blood sugar. So it was kind of unique because me and my mom were talking about it this past weekend, and she was like, "Yeah, they told me, to eat this and this and this to lower my blood pressure, or it could lower my blood pressure." And I was like, "Really? I never would have thought, certain things would lower blood pressure. You always hear about blood sugar, but you don't hear about blood pressure with food." So that's
Yeah.
another thing I've been researching as well to, just kind of, me and my family's goals are just to get healthier and try to put better things in our body. Um, just just so you have more energy, you don't always feel sluggish, and things that help with having energy and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting just like I don't know, it's like something that we like know and we talk about, but then really see like reading the direct like articles about like the way certain nutrients like really affect your mood directly. Like not just with energy, which is like I think something that like we're always kind of thinking about, like, oh, you got to fuel yourself properly to have the right amount of energy or what have you, but like really seeing how like probiotics affect inflammation, which affects, of serotonin and cortisol levels and like all of
Right.
that. It's just really interesting. Dark chocolate was on the list. And I love dark chocolate. I'm not a huge like sweets person, so
Yeah.
like the darker the better. And they have dark chocolate peanut butter cups at
They
Trader
do.
Joe's. And I buy the well, I don't deserve my husband and he does most of our shopping. So he buys them for me as treats. And then I'm like, well, I'm being really healthy right now eating these peanut butter cups because this is dark chocolate. So and
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And peanut butter is great for you too. So I mean, what more can you ask for?
it was, we were talking about this, Jesse, before we started recording about how also when we're talking about our mood and even our neurotransmitters and our feel good neurotransmitters, that you can get off balance with your neurotransmitters like we've
Mhm.
talked about with stress response when like maybe we're stress eating too much junk food or whatever and that's really causing us like spikes in our feel good neurotransmitters and bigger depletions. But I think there's a difference between like a stress response and eating junk food, shall we say, than else, which look, no shame because we all do it. So I
Oh
think that's
yeah.
something to like not put pressure on yourself that you've failed in wellness in any way.
Right.
But also that there is something in wellness with maybe eating something that's not the most like nutrient dense for you, but it's like feels good to your soul. Like it's like a family recipe or, the dessert from a place where you had a birthday party or a date or something that meant a lot to you. Like I think fueling your soul with food is also really important and kind of knowing why we're eating certain things.
Right. Yeah, and like you said, like, well, I'm not gonna replace everything with healthy. Like you were talking about, like a soul food dessert. Like I know there's this dessert that we make for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it's banana pudding, and we use like chessman cookies and a set of vanilla wafers. And I'm sure it's not healthy for you at all, but it is the best, thing. And everybody in our family can't wait for Thanksgiving. They talk about the banana pudding, but when I'm eating it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Like, and I feel so happy. So you don't always have to eat healthy to get that. I think you should eat both ways. If you want to eat something that just makes you just smile, and it makes you tingle, you wiggle your toes and do a happy dance, then go for it. That's that makes you happy. That's going to set off serotonin in your brain too. So I think eating both ways and finding your balance as well is important, like we were discussing.
And now we know that Jessie wiggles her toes when she
Yeah,
really
I
needs
do.
something she enjoys. Love that. But yeah, it's interesting to me because it is like let's say if we're talking about like stress response, my brain is craving something to balance my cortisol and I stress eat a bag of chips, which like we've all done. And I dug into some Cheetos this weekend, not because of stress, because they were there and it's delicious. But Aldi brand, we're not endorsing any products either, just to disclaim them. We're just talking about what we have in our pantry.
Yeah.
Um, but that like quick like I'm balancing myself, like I mean that's not your cognitive thought, but like it's that stress impulse. And let's say you
Mhm.
go to junk food, which again we've all done and it's no failure and we will continue to do from time to time and it's no failure, but I think it's something that's important to maybe be mindful of, realizing like, oh, that was my stress response and that's not actually going to balance out my stress, so I might need
Mhm.
to incorporate something that's a little more balancing into the next day or so whenever I can. Versus, in my opinion, it seems like when you're consciously eating something like that dessert, or for me, we have so many great family recipes that I just like really crave for comfort and stuff. And it's like, no, I'm actually like choosing something that means something to me and it's going to give me sensory information that's like the taste and the smell that's linked to positive memories and things like that. And I think that's different.
Yeah, I think that's very accurate to say. I think that's very different. Just like you said, there's a lot of family recipes, and like my grandpa who passed away, he always made Watergate salad, and I I cannot stand it. But I'm, I we still make it at holidays, and it's a whole different feeling when now I'm like, oh, like it's a memory that makes me smile because that's something that he always made, or like turkey burgers on the grill, like that was his thing. So it's like not a big fan of turkey burgers, but it's funny that I'll eat them now, and I'll just have that. It will make me happy because I feel like he's there with me. So I think like there are foods out there that may not be the healthiest or the greatest for you, but when they're linked to something that means something to you, you get happy, and it warms your heart, and you wiggle your toes. And so it is, that's a good feeling too. So I mean, like you said, I mean, we all stress eat. I have anxiety. Sometimes I'll just I'll be pacing around the house, and I'll be like having anxiety, and I'll grab a bag of chips. It's not the best thing for me, but for a minute there, I'm like, oh, I like these Doritos, these are good. And I might feel better for a second, but I just want to try to learn to, when I feel like I need to eat or I'm stress eating, I want to put something more positive into my body that will help me, like the Greek yogurt, because it says it potentially can reduce anxiety. Like I said, I'm not a dietitian. I don't know. It might work for some people. It might not do anything for you. So it's always, to me, I think things like that is always worth a try, because my anxiety is always skyrocketed. So like, and I will say the past few times I've have chosen, like my Greek yogurt bar, I get that sense of like, oh, I ate something sweet, and I do feel better, and it's kind of makes I'm like, oh, I can, this is good for me. This is, and you're kind of like proud of yourself because you're like, I could have went for the chips, but I tried this instead. But there's not, I mean, I'm not going to go for it every time. I'm not perfect. I'm definitely going to still eat chips. I love chips. That's my biggest weakness. So I'm still going to eat them, but just kind of finding a balance in between it.
And just kind of knowing, having some mindfulness about like when and why we eat things sometimes. That I
Hmm.
think there's just a difference, even in just thinking about balancing your neurotransmitters in between like longevity of decreasing, let's say cortisol, and increasing um serotonin. We were just talking about that with hydration, and it's more of a longer term
Hmm.
process versus like I'm really overwhelmed in this moment and I'm grabbing a ding dong, which are also amazing, and shoving that in my mouth, and I feel calmed for a moment because you got that quick like spike of that sugar and that dopamine, but that means you're going to deplete pretty quickly.
Right.
Which again is fine. There is no shame in that, but you just want to know that that's going to happen. You haven't actually balanced out that stress with that kind of impulse stress eat. It's going to come back for you. It's the same if like, we had a really stressful day at work and you have a cocktail at the end of the day or whatever. It's not the biggest detriment to you, like, but you just need
Right.
to know that's not actually like balancing your stress hormones there.
Yeah, definitely. I did see a funny meme that when I was talking to you about liquid IV, and it was talking about this lady. She was a lawyer and said that she lost a case in court. So she had a big wine glass and like filled her wine glass half up with wine and then put the liquid IV. And she said, "See, I'm just rehydrating. I'm doing it perfectly." And it cracked me up because you don't think about things like that. Sometimes when you're go for like a drink or something, you don't really think about at that point. You're like, oh, this is good for me, it's going to help me. But like you said, it doesn't really balance out the things that need to be balanced out. So sometimes just knowing that, can be helpful. But, like you said, it's okay to have a glass of wine or a cocktail drink at the end of the day. Just know, like it's not 100% going to balance out, the things that you need balanced out in your body, depending on, what situations and your health and things like that you're trying to focus on.
Yeah. And then with hydration, and we were like literally Googled this, like while Jesse and I were talking, because I'm being good and drinking a LaCroix sparkling water with my snack to be hydrated. I'm not great about remembering to drink water. I'm like, I love caffeine and it's so not good for your cortisol levels, but yeah, it's full disclosure. I had two Diet Cokes before I decided to hydrate myself, but it's balancing. But in looking at like hydration and its like effects with anxiety and depression risks, and that it says that, again, this is Dr. Google, but that hydration actually plays a role in our production and regulation of our neurotransmitters like serotonin. So dehydration can actually like make you produce less serotonin, which would of course increase anxiety or depression or mood swings. And then because of our stress response when we're dehydrated, that can initiate more cortisol production. So, because your body is sending those stress signals to your brain like it's in danger. So, hydration is important.
Yeah, hydration is definitely important. Like we were talking before we started recording, my mom-in-law is trying to, get more liquid in her, and everybody struggles with water, I think sometimes. And so the liquid IV has been really great. And I do pretty well with water just because, I have like things I put in my water. Like I use like the Crystal Lights, there's a strawberry watermelon flavor that I've always put in my water. So water is kind of easier for me, because I keep it flavored. But the liquid IV, I've noticed like if I put it in, and I love swimming, so I'll go out to the pool and I'll notice that like I can stay out longer because I'm drinking that with my water, and I don't feel like I get dehydrated as easily because the sun soaks all the moisture out of you and things, and just moving around, and things like that. So I've noticed that liquid IV has really done really well for me. Not saying that it would be great for everybody. It's an acquired taste as well. They have a lot of flavors. They have like one called Bomb Pop, like the popsicle, the red, white, and blue one.
Got it. It's so good.
It is so good. And so I think, like you said, I think staying hydrated is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. But just knowing, like you said, the Diet Cokes and stuff, they're good, and there's nothing wrong with having those drinks, but also knowing like you balance it out. Like my mom, she'd always like she drinks Sprite. Sprite's one of her things right now. So she'll drink a bottle of Sprite, but then like the rest of the day she's drinking water. Or if she has two Sprites, then she tries to, double up on water and things like that to try to, balance it out. And I think that's kind of important as well. Is it's okay to have sweet tea and, coffee and all these things, but just try to balance it out with some water, and keeping yourself hydrated, especially with the heat this year. It's been really bad in certain states. So staying hydrated is really important.
That literally, I was on a call just with a colleague at another agency earlier today. And when we were kind of like saying bye, she was like, okay, and stay hydrated. And I was like, that's a really good sign off. We need those. We need that reminder,
Yeah.
especially in the South during, I was about to say the winter, during the summer, because the humidity is so much. We are reading about it last year because we keep getting these like record highs, but with the record high humidity we also have down here, that like it's really hard for our bodies to stay hydrated because they're not it's like because we're sweating, but the humidity like makes it so that our sweat isn't like absorbed or taken away like it would be normally, or something. Like, now I should have thought about my sentence before I started it because I don't remember the science, but that the humidity made it that we dehydrated more. So having and that now we know that sodium helps you stay hydrated, not the opposite.
Right.
So that yeah.
Listen, when I was in New Orleans visiting, I thought I was gonna die. Y'all's heat is so much different than Tennessee heat, and it's just like our heat, like it's hot, like we're hot, but the humidity in Louisiana is awful. And I was like, I'll be all right because I'm from Georgia and we have humidity. No, no. I was out. One of my supervisors, he sent me a list of things to do in New Orleans, like to look around because we're like, okay. I was like, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get up and we're gonna get up at like 9 a.m., go out to, the French Quarter, walk around downtown New Orleans, we're gonna check out all these spots. And then because I think we did a ghost tour at like 10. And so I was like, we're gonna be out all day, we'll be fine. Okay, 1 o'clock. I was like, oh, we got to go back to the hotel to take a nap. I'm exhausted. I said, the heat out here is crazy. And it's like, you don't realize. And we were drinking water the whole time. And I was just like,
Mhm.
I don't know how people in Louisiana do it. Cause like in Tennessee, like it's hot, but this doesn't like you don't feel that humidity up here. I think it's because, we're around mountains and stuff, but it's hot, but not like it is in Louisiana. I mean, I was just like, I've never in my life. I was walking around and I was like, oh my goodness, I have to take a nap. Like, who has to take a nap in the middle of the day? But it was just the heat. It just draws everything out of you. Um, no, I was like New Orleans. I was like, I got so much respect for people in New Orleans that survive that because that heat is awful down there. That is awful.
You have to like you have to end up changing clothes so many times throughout the day because you're like, well, now I'm sweaty in this. So
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's so crazy. Like we stayed like on a little boat. Well, it's like a little villa on the water. So I was like, oh, it's gonna be cool, at night. It's gonna be nice. Granted, it was beautiful, beautiful, but it was so hot. And like I remember I woke up and pajamas were just drenched in sweat. And I don't even sweat. Like it takes a lot for me to sweat. And I think I was asleep for like 3 hours. I woke up and it was just stuck to me, drenched in sweat. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I had like the AC on like 68. And I was still got, I still sweated all night. And I was like, wow, the humidity. I was like, these folks gotta need to drink like gallons and gallons of water to survive out here. But it was beautiful. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a very nice trip. But I think it's so crazy at different parts of the world where the humidity is so different. Like, I lived in Colorado for 6 months, and like the cold, like it was snow, but you could literally be out there in shorts and a t-shirt and not be cold. It's a whole different type of atmosphere. You do have to drink a lot of water there because if you're not used to that high level, then your nose will bleed and stuff. And they tell you to try to like eat more protein and things when you're up there, which is, I guess wellness snacks, like beef jerky and stuff. Just due to the different elevations of, where they're at compared to what you might be used to. So it's all kind of linked in together, but it's kind of cool to learn about like different things that with different states, like what you might need to increase versus what you might need to add. So that's kind of neat to know too.
Yeah, even in like the atmospheres, like you're talking about, because like I was reading an article one time about how like certain like cities, because they're so much more highly elevated above sea level, that the oxygen levels are different, and that
Hmm.
actually affects our serotonin levels when
Hmm.
you're at such a like a different oxygen level because of your elevation, which was really interesting. So it was like you would have to focus more, I guess, on like food and hydration and things like that that
Yeah.
can help you with your serotonin levels.
Yeah, because like I said, when I went to Colorado, like I went there for a couple of days and visited, didn't have any problems. And then when I moved there, I kept waking up with nosebleeds, and I was like, "What's going on?" Because I felt like I was drinking enough, and I went and saw a doctor, just to make sure everything was okay. And they were like, "Well, where are you from?" And I was like, "Well, I'm originally from Georgia." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, you're just not used to, the air quality out here and the oxygen and stuff." They're like, "Increase your protein, do a lot of like beef jerky." They said, they also told me to eat a lot of trail mix, which was kind of weird. I don't know what the benefit was that. I mean, I did do it, and they told me to increase my water at least for the first 2 weeks, like really heavy, like to basically just drink only water, and it would stop the nosebleeds. And then what was weird is they told me to start moisturizing my skin every night before I went to bed, to put lotion because I've noticed my skin started drying out, but on like I had a little acne, but it went away. But it's just like you said, it's just so unique to know like the oxygen levels in different areas, and then like the humidity or the heat or anything, the air quality and things like that, how it affects your body, 100% completely different than if you're from Texas or, Arizona or something like that. You have to do something completely different. So it's just kind of, I'll always try to research if I'm going somewhere, for a while or like for a week vacation. I'm trying to research because, it's important to stay hydrated, have snacks that are going to help you and be good for you while you're doing things. So that's important as well.
Yeah, when I was in Colorado, the weirdest thing was like my hair was like straight. It didn't curl, which was so I
Right.
guess I need that humidity here to get these curls going. Not that they're really on point today because my hair's dirty, because that's what happens. So
That's what happens when you're busy, right?
yes. And I mean, people who have long hair or thick hair or curly hair, you get it. Washing it and then brushing it out afterwards is quite the chore. So sometimes for my own wellness, I put it off.
There you go. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, the humidity will make it anyway. Humidity here, y'all, is real. But I'm going to use that topic to seamlessly transition me into something else. So, with the heat, has us looking forward to the fall. Want to remind everybody up and coming in September, on September 8th, is 988 Day. 9/8, September 8th. So, via link, proud 988 contact center, we're going to be doing some fun stuff with social media and a virtual CEU, and we'll give y'all some information about that as it's planned. But we are definitely, for anybody who lives in Louisiana or wants to come visit, going to host 988 Day at the Capitol in Baton Rouge in the Formal Gardens. So we're going to have a really wonderful gathering hosted by us at Via Link, hear from some community partners, and just spread awareness about 988 on 988 Day. So please keep a lookout for that from us, and look at our social medias if you don't already at Via Link 211 for our updates about that.
That is exciting. I mean, that's going to be a fun day.
I know, I'm excited. It'll be really fun. It's so funny to me because so 988 Day, the first annual 988 Day started last year. And I had this like, it took me forever to realize, like, oh, it's on September 8th because that's 9/8. So now when anybody like asks me, oh, what day will it be? And I say September 8th, and then they have that like aha moment and they feel like kind of silly. I'm like, it took me a month probably to get it last year. So the fact that you could get it that quickly just puts me to shame.
That's funny.
So yeah, it's just something to keep on the lookout for.
Yes.
I have elevated stress levels because of watching myself eat on camera, but my snack was really good, so it's balanced.
You know, everyone talks about toast with avocado on it, and I've heard like adding salmon or some type of protein to it. I think I want to try that because my mom talks about it all the time, like avocado toast, and I see it everywhere. Like everywhere that I look, like people are talking about like healthy breakfast, and it's always like some type of avocado toast with like either salmon. I've seen shrimp. I've seen like little like turkey sausages on top of it. So that's kind of funny that you did choose your snack because it was so funny. I was talking to my wife about, like wellness snacks. I was like, maybe I'll try avocado toast for the first time. And she was like, well, maybe just wait because you might not like it. And I was like,
It's just
yeah,
like
but I see it everywhere. So that's kind of funny that you chose to do that.
it makes me very basic in my millennialness that I do love avocado toast. So,
At least
but
you like it. At least and it's good for you. So that's all that matters.
as we have reviewed, lots of
Yes.
great um what was it what I'm trying to say? Lots of great nutrition. I don't know the word that I want to say. So nutrition in that. I'm glad that I've been very good at my verbal skills today. My snack is also supposed to help with cognition, which apparently I need right now. So
It just hasn't kicked in yet.
yeah, no, I've only eaten half of my toast because it's embarrassing to eat on camera, but I am hungry. So apologies to anybody who is watching this video, and hopefully you couldn't hear me chewing.
I
Thank
couldn't hear you chewing, so I think you're good.
you. Well, I guess that's it for us today, huh, Jesse?
Yeah, I think we covered some important stuff, so I think we're good to go.
All right, let's do our sign off. This has been Jesse and Sherrod. No
No
filters,
filters, no
no
fluff,
fluff,
just real
just
talk.
real talk. We will see y'all and hear y'all, or you'll listen to us next time. Thank you.
Thank you.